You still remember it. That one comment someone made about you years ago. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was a classmate. Maybe it was a stranger who said something cutting in passing. You can't remember what you ate for lunch last Tuesday, but you remember every word of that insult. Why? Your brain is not being cruel to you. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. And the reason is far stranger than you think. Start with a simple fact. Your brain does not treat all memories equally. Most of what happens to you gets filtered out within hours. A conversation about the weather, a walk to your car, the color of a stranger's shirt, gone almost instantly. But certain moments get stamped, sealed, and filed away as if they were emergencies. Insults are almost always in that second category. Why would a brain do that? Because for most of human history, being disliked could kill you. Think about that for a second. Not metaphorically, literally. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in small tribes. Survival depended entirely on being accepted by the group. If the group rejected you, you didn't just feel bad. You lost access to food, protection, and shelter. Isolation in the ancient world was often a death sentence. So your brain evolved a very specific alarm system, one that treats social rejection with the same urgency as physical danger. This is where the psychologist Naomi Eisenberger comes in. In a now famous study, Eisenberger used brain scans to show that social rejection activates the same regions of the brain as physical pain. Specifically, the anterior cingulate cortex, a part of the brain involved in processing distress, lights up whether you stub your toe or get excluded from a group of friends. Your brain, in other words, doesn't fully distinguish between that hurt my body and that hurt my standing with other people. Both get treated as threats to your survival. So when someone insults you, your brain isn't just registering an unpleasant sentence. It's registering a potential threat to your place in the tribe. And threats to survival get remembered. Vividly. Permanently. On purpose. This connects to something called the negativity bias, a concept studied extensively by psychologist Roy Baumeister. Baumeister and his colleagues reviewed decades of research and found the same pattern again and again. Bad events, bad emotions, and negative feedback have a far stronger psychological impact than good ones of equal intensity. One critical comment can outweigh 5 compliments. One embarrassing memory can overshadow 100 pleasant ones. This isn't a personal weakness. It's a design feature. Here's the logic behind it. Imagine 2 ancient humans. One remembers every compliment they received and forgets every warning sign of danger. The other remembers every threat, every insult, every moment of social rejection, and forgets most of the pleasant, uneventful days. Which one survives longer? Which one passes on their genes? The anxious, insult-remembering brain wins. Every time, you are, quite literally, descended from the humans who never forgot a threat. But there's another layer to this. It's not just that your brain remembers insults. It's how it remembers them. Neuroscientist James McGaugh spent decades studying how emotional intensity affects memory formation. His research on the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm center, showed something remarkable. When you experience a moment of strong emotion, whether it's fear, humiliation, or shock, your amygdala essentially tells your brain, this one matters. Lock it in. It triggers the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, which strengthen the neural connections tied to that memory. This is why you can recall the exact words, the exact tone of voice, even the exact room you were standing in when someone said something cruel to you. Your amygdala wasn't just recording an event. It was flagging a survival lesson. Compare that to an ordinary compliment. Someone says, "Nice shirt," and your brain barely blinks. No threat detected. No stress hormones released. No urgent flag. Filed away, forgotten by dinner. This is the strange unfairness of it. Praise fades quickly because your brain never treated it as essential information. Insults stick because your brain treated them as data that could save your life. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. This system, so useful to your ancestors on the savannah, is often working against you today. You're not living in a small tribe of 30 people where a single insult could mean expulsion and death. You live in a world of billions of people, most of whom you will never meet, and one careless comment from one person carries almost no real consequence for your survival. But your amygdala doesn't know that. It's still running ancient software on modern hardware. It still treats a harsh comment from a stranger online exactly the way it would treat being cast out of a hunting party 50,000 years ago. This is why a single negative comment on something you've created can outweigh 100 positive ones. This is why a joke made at your expense in middle school can still surface, uninvited, 20 years later. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing its ancient job in a world that no longer requires it. So does that mean you're stuck replaying every insult forever? Not quite. Psychologist Elizabeth Phelps, who has studied the intersection of emotion and memory extensively, has shown that memories are not fixed recordings. Every time you recall a memory, your brain actually reconstructs it, and in that moment of reconstruction, it can be altered. This process is called reconsolidation. It means that the emotional charge attached to an old insult is not permanently locked in. It can be weakened, softened, reframed, especially when the memory is recalled in a new context, with new understanding, or with emotional distance. This is part of why looking back, an old embarrassing memory years later often feels different than it did at the time. The sting has dulled, not because the memory faded, but because your brain has updated the emotional tag attached to it. What once felt like a five-alarm threat now reads, correctly, as a minor social hiccup that has no bearing on your survival. Understanding this changes how you can relate to those old memories. That insult that still stings isn't proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that your brain worked exactly as it was designed to. It kept you alert to social danger in a world where social danger used to be lethal. The system did its job too well, that's all. And here's the mirror in this for you, right now, today. The next time an old insult resurfaces uninvited, notice what's actually happening. Your amygdala is replaying an ancient survival file. It's not evidence. It's not truth. It's a leftover alarm system doing exactly what kept your ancestors alive. You don't have to fight the memory. You just have to recognize it for what it is. An outdated alert, going off in a world that has already moved on. You still remember it. That one comment. But now you know why. Not because it was true, not because it defines you, but because somewhere deep in your brain, an ancient guardian mistook a passing comment for a matter of life and death.